Sports Talk Podcast. I go by the name of Goozy. I'm here with Young E, the winner, Little Chicken Dinner. And then we got Young Philanthropist. He just supplies the world of philosophy. So we appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. And today we are going to be talking about an assortment of topics, and we're giving it from the perspective that we're getting it just like you are from the couch. So let's get into it, guys. First, let's talk about probably the biggest news so far this week in another slow week in the sports world because of the pandemic. Washington football team has a new name, and it is exactly what I just said, the Washington football team. What is your guys' opinions on that?
I think it's so lame. Why? I wish they would just come up with the name quicker, but I get they're going to vet the whole process. I do have news on this front. I saw a Reddit post today from somebody who was checking domain name registries, and they found that the same IP address that had originally registered, I think it was dcredskins.com, which was the Washington Redskins official site, also registered the domain washingtonsentinels.com. So that could be something to look out for. A disclaimer would be that typically they would go ahead and claim the domain for all of their potential names. So, they would want to go get the Sentinels, they'd want to go get the Red Wolves, Red Tails, any names under consideration. But this was a new development that happened recently. So Washington Sentinels potentially, but for now, the Washington football team, which actually kind of goes hard now that I'm thinking about it.
No, it does not.
I mean, it really is comical. Like, I was just fucking weak at it this morning when I couldn't stop laughing. And the funniest part about it to me is that it's substantially better than what it was. And it's still somehow shit. But it's so much better than what it was. So I don't know. I mean, also in terms of what Phil was talking about, I did see a Reddit post late last week that the reason they didn't announce a name last week was because somebody has trademarked all of these like 15 names that they've been thinking about getting. So they're working on figuring that out. So I think that would also be what's going on with the domains. Maybe that's why they just got the one so far, because they're still working on the other trademarks. But Washington Sentinels, I mean, it is what it is. I guess it's better. It's better than what it was, but I'm not thrilled with it.
I would have liked to see them do 8 different names throughout the season, and they could have 2 at home. No, 2. You'd have 8 names, and you'd use them in 2 games each. 1 at home and 1 out away. So then the fans could see what the home and away jerseys would look like, and then they could make it fun.
They're gonna change the jerseys every week. I don't think Nike's gonna.
That's
be down
a big
for
money
that.
maker, bro. I'm telling you.
I don't think Nike's down for that. That's a lot
It's
of
like
money.
It's like when you get a free trial and you keep getting a new email to extend your free trial. I like that idea.
See, and then they could have a whole bunch of alternative jerseys too. See, that would be hard.
See, on the other hand, what did you guys think about the jerseys?
I mean, they don't look that much different than the original ones, right? I guess they just have a number on the helmet,
better.
Which, yeah, it just looks like a generic college jersey now, so not bad.
The font's a little bit better, I think, on the jerseys. Like, the font was a little bit outdated on the old jerseys, but yeah, I definitely think they're like some college jerseys, but they're some of the like elite college jerseys. I like them.
I wouldn't say that. I'm not a fan of their colors. Looks like a muted 1980s non-renovated McDonald's with that red and yellow. You could just
I wouldn't be tripping if they changed the colors with the new name.
Yeah, which they already said they're not going to, but I mean, I wish they would.
I really don't mind the colors. They're not that bad. I mean,
you can't even see them.
I am colorblind, but I still like their colors, the burgundy and it's like goldish yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little thing for the people that are listening that young E here is definitely colorblind, and it's very interesting watching sports with him sometimes. The Going on top of that, just a random thought. The color rush, does that bother you?
I mean, so there was one game that really got to me, and I think it was 2016 season, and it was a Thursday night game, and it was the Bills and the Jets, and they were in red and green, and I could not see shit. I was so confused the whole game. Both teams had white helmets. I was just watching the game. I had no idea who was on whose team. I think the final score was like 13-10. I think Nathan Peterman was playing fucking quarterback. You know, it was a shit show of a game. Anyways, I don't think they could tell who was on whose team, but you know, it was that was not fun. But other than that, I think most of the color rush jerseys I can distinguish between. The Ravens color rush jerseys are really fucking nice. I really like them. So yeah. I mean, I guess if we played the Chargers in the color rush jerseys, I'd probably have a tough time, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Best color rush jersey, or actually I'm not even sure if they're color rush jerseys, but the 49ers all-white retro uniforms this year were the best in the league. Oof. I'll put that on everything. The reds.
They're hot. Nice. They're hot. But I don't
Not
know.
as nice as the throwback Dolphins, though.
I don't know about the best.
Throwback Dolphins are nice, too. The Dolphins have one of the best colorways, for sure.
I wish those would be the permanent ones.
Same.
One day. Same. Maybe next year when they revive the team with Tua.
Oh, yeah.
Deadass. Well, that can kind of lead us into maybe our next topic, and that's that there's going to be no preseason games in the NFL, so I probably won't be seeing Tua this season. How do you guys feel about no preseason?
Bro, the preseason is so pointless. I don't want to hear the arguments about, the football players are not going to be in rhythm by the time the regular season starts. Like, it's fine. It's just...
Who's talking like that? Who's doing that?
You know.
I mean, I'm just disappointed I gotta wait longer for football. That's all it is for me.
That's fair, but the risk reward, especially with COVID, is just not worth it. Like, why would you waste all the resources for a preseason game?
I agree. I mean, I think they could have taken one to try and figure shit out, make sure shit was gonna run smoothly, but they didn't. I mean, I kind of didn't expect them to have a preseason from the get-go. So I wasn't really surprised, but
shout out to the players for standing up to the NFL. I really like that they finally put their foot down and said, we're not going to do this ridiculous thing that you want us to do. The NFL obviously lags behind the NBA in terms of player empowerment. So it was nice to see them all unify, put out that statement on Twitter. A bunch of them did, and just give the middle finger to Goodell because Goodell sucks.
Oh, yeah. Even LeBron sometimes will tell the NBA players on Twitter, the NFL players on Twitter, just do something more. Speak up for yourself. So I find that dope that the NBA player empowerment's definitely going into the NFL. Do you guys see this potentially hurting any teams? I could see this hurting a team maybe like the Patriots, who are going to be having Cam Newton and can't get maybe a few extra snaps in. So it could hold him back a couple weeks. Do you guys have any other teams in mind?
I mean, I don't know, because at the same time, we are starting training camp this upcoming week. Everybody will be reported by the end of the week, I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, they're still getting 50 days. I think training camp serves the same purpose as preseason. You still get, 11 on 11s with your team. You can play first team against first team, and so forth. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, but if there was some teams I was going to see struggling from it, it would probably be a team like the Patriots. I could see a team like the Texans, after having a lot of turnover this offseason, possibly struggling because those receivers, you bring in 3 new receivers. I think those are just the main two teams I can think of off the top of my head, but.
I mean, big L for whoever was supposed to be the Hard Knocks team this year. Not having the preseason, that's a vital plot line. Man.
It was
the Rams and Chargers.
Yeah, so it's okay.
That was going to be a good one.
No.
That would have been a good Hard Knocks. You're tripping.
I'm good off of it.
Sean McVay? I'd like to see him.
I like McVay, and I like Anthony Lynn too, but the teams are trash. I mean, I guess I could see the Chargers coming out with the 7th spot just randomly because Tyrod doesn't turn the ball over and Anthony Lynn's a good coach.
He's not going to play.
They have a good defense. Yes, he is. They've already announced him as a starter.
I don't think Herbert's ready. I mean,
Herbert's not ready.
that kind of brings us back on topic. I think the teams that are going to be hurt the most are those with young quarterbacks who are either slotted to start or are competing for a job because that's a
Yeah,
big time for them to get ready. I mean, we saw it with Dak Prescott when he was a rookie. He really went and took the job from Tony Romo in the preseason. I know Tony Romo got hurt, but he had one of the best preseasons probably any rookie's had for a while, and he really just went in there and earned it. So guys like Tua,
yeah,
Justin Herbert, they're going to struggle by not having the additional reps.
definitely. I could see this also potentially starting a slow start for a team like the Buccaneers
Yep.
because
All
Tom
the new
Brady
faces.
and all that, just having to. I'm sure with the way Bruce Arians has his offense, they're going to have to change up a lot. Brady can still throw it pretty well, but definitely not the way Bruce Arians would probably want his quarterback to. With all of the vertical shit he does. And then I could see really hurting a team like the Patriots beyond, like Cam Newton, because I feel like the way Bill Belichick coaches, he takes those snaps in preseason very seriously. Like he wants his players that are fighting for those spots to really go out there and play. So I could see that, have them start slow as well. And then I think this really benefits a team like the Packers or the Chiefs, who didn't have too much turnover in the offseason. And, of course, they have two of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Right.
So any teams that really didn't have any high turnover, this is going to be really beneficial for them, especially just getting a few maybe like start out 3-1 in the season when they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah. I would say one team I am also a little worried about. I don't want to say it, but I am a little worried about the Ravens. Two rookie inside linebackers.
Stop it.
That's a downside. I'm just saying like that's the difference between going 11-5 or 14-2 or so.
I don't want to hear it from Ethan. Okay, just some
So
context for our viewers at home. Every single year, the Ravens will start either 1-1 or 2-1. But whenever their first loss is, Ethan, without fail, will text us in the group chat and say, "Oh, there goes the season. Now we're done."
Okay, but that Browns loss last year was really bad. Like it really did look like everything was just gonna fall apart, and then after that, it just became ridiculous. Once we got on the run of like the Seahawks and Patriots, I knew it was good. I was actually surprised when we lost in the playoffs.
You
Why you
shouldn't
hating
have
on
been
Baker?
so mad about losing to the Browns, though. They're a good team, and it's a divisional opponent.
I wouldn't say the Browns are a good team.
They have a
Yeah.
good team. You're tripping. They just have
No.
a terrible organization.
Oh,
Which made the team bad. They had good talent, but they were a dumpster fire.
Okay, a talented team that can win against any team on any given day if they're all playing well.
yeah, I don't know about that, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see what comes out this year. I think we could see 3 teams out of the AFC North too. I guess the Browns could come out. It just depends.
All sleeping.
What about franchise deals? Were you guys surprised by anybody? I was a little bit surprised by Derrick Henry. I've heard a lot of news that wasn't going to happen, and then
that's a very fair deal. That might be the best. That might be the best big running back deal I've seen in a while. Like I think you get. I mean, obviously Ezekiel Elliott and Todd Gurley both were great at the respective times they got their contract, but I think you're getting from Derrick Henry 80 to 90% of that production for almost half of the cost of some of the other big name running back contracts. So I think it was a steal. The Titans, they continue to surprise me. They're always doing something that makes me think, wow, that's a good move. So I honestly,
very. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say more of the same. Go ahead.
I was going to say they're just a very underrated organization. They always make like low key solid moves. And by doing this for Derrick Henry, it's not only good for, obviously one of the best running backs in the league, but good for future running backs who really put their team on their back. So hopefully we could start seeing a trend where, running backs are getting signed after that second or third year where they're really good. Maybe Saquon Barkley, if he has a good year this year, he could get a new contract in the offseason because it's worth it for him. They really deserve the pay. They're getting beat up on every play. And especially now with the way the game is played, they're doing way more than just running the ball.
Yeah.
Like Christian McCaffrey, a lot of people didn't think he deserved his contract extension, but he does so much on the field that it
He's their
really
whole
is worth
offense.
it for him. Yeah. So, I like what the Panthers are doing. They're, I think we're going to start seeing, more uses with running backs. So they're going to start becoming more valuable. Now, will it drive up the contracts? Because, there's not going to be very many players like Derrick Henry. And as you guys know, you can, pick up a running back in like the 4th round and have him be a very solid contributor on a good team. So,
Right.
I don't know. I think it's still good for running backs overall because of that. There's so many of them. Maybe they'll start getting more credit and start getting more pay.
Anybody you were surprised to not see signed?
Dak Prescott. That's the one that obviously jumps out. I think the Cowboys really fumbled that by not locking him up last year when it would have been already their salary cap and the way the revenue is going, it would have already been locked into a lower rate than what they're eventually going to get him for. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say that Dak Prescott deserves to be the highest paid quarterback in the league, which he likely would have been at the time. But the way these quarterback contracts are going, you lock up a guy for a record deal at the time, and then within 2 years, the cap has already gone up to the point where they haven't risen with that salary cap, and it's a discount. To give you an example of that, the 49ers, when they locked down Jimmy Garoppolo, he was one of the highest paid contracts in the league at the time, of all time even. And by this point now where we're at today, his annual hit is about $28 million. And I think the max a player can get is in the 40s at this point. So we're talking about a quarterback that's locked up for over 12 to 15 million under the max. So for me at this point, if I'm a GM, I'm getting them signed on the paper, dotted line as soon as possible. And then I'm going to let time do the rest. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's the risk that I would take if I were a GM.
See, I could agree with that, but then they kind of did the same thing with Blake Bortles, and I didn't agree with that shit at all. So,
but they got him off the books when they needed to. It wasn't hard for them to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you got to, the way you structure the contract. Fair enough. But yeah, I cannot believe
don't be doing Dak like that.
Not been signed. No,
don't be doing Dak like he's Blake Bortles.
No, he's definitely not. He's definitely. I don't know. Sometimes he's very overrated, and sometimes he's underrated. He's got all the talent in the world, but sometimes he just underperforms. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe the expectations are just too high for the Cowboys, but I could really see him potentially not being on the team next year because of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
The franchise tag for him next year, I think, would be along like 42 mil or something like that. So that Steven, is it Steven Jones? Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Bill Belichick is licking his chops right now.
Jerry Jones. I'm so stupid. That's
Jerry Jones. Steven Jones. What the fuck?
That's his son.
The fuck are you talking about?
But yeah, Jerry World, bro. I just think that he's never going to want to do a franchise tag that high. And then he's going to realize, oh shit, now I'm going to have to give him at least like 38 million a year. And I think he's just going to go with, it's either he's going to have to trade someone like Zeke or DeMarcus Lawrence, or he's just going to have to bite the bullet, let him walk away, and then just maybe trade up in the draft or something. Because he's paying a lot of people a lot of money. It's going to be hard to maintain a good team if he's going to pay him too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I was a little bit surprised at Justin Simmons out of Denver after he had I think he had an All-Pro year. I know he was a Pro Bowler, but I'm pretty sure he was All-Pro 2 last year. Franchised him, couldn't come to terms on a long-term agreement. I was a little bit surprised by that. I definitely thought they'd lock him up. I followed the Broncos a little bit, but rumors say he's gonna stick around, and maybe next year they'll come to a deal. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that, and then definitely, I was blindsided by Dak. I really thought they would get that figured out, but it is what it is, and I do think he'll probably be out of there next year. And I think, a couple teams that are really going to be benefiting from that. You might see the Bears come out and get a benefit from that. You might see the Bucks come out after this year with Brady, and I think he signed a 2-year, but anything could happen. The Saints, They need a quarterback after this year. Jameis is only on a 1-year deal, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I was surprised by those guys for sure.
Would you guys, if you were in Dak's position, would you sit out until a contract?
I don't know how to answer that, man. I mean, the franchise is what, 40 million, 38 million at this point?
It's like 35 right now, I think.
Yeah,
I'd say I'd play, man. That's too much money for me to forfeit. I mean, we saw Le'Veon Bell try that technique, and it didn't work out for him.
He's a running back.
We've also
seen
the other side of it too, with like Earl Thomas, where he played through it in a contract year, broke his leg.
Yeah.
Flipped off the fucking coach. Kind of tarnished his name a little bit.
But
struggled
quarterbacks
after
retain
that
their
to get a
value
deal.
more, though. If Dak goes out and tears his ACL, he's still getting a max or near max contract when he comes back from some team. It might not be the Cowboys, but somebody's going to give him, barring, a devastating injury, someone's going to come in and give him 20+ million if he risks it. You
could see a team like Washington too going
Yeah.
after, because if Dwayne Haskins doesn't work out this year, which I hope he does because I like Dwayne Haskins, but if he doesn't work out this year, I could see them definitely bringing in someone like Dak. And
oh yeah,
a lot of potential moves there.
Didn't the Vikings give Kirk Cousins an extension?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
See, why is Kirk Cousins getting an extension? I like Kirk a lot, but come on, bro.
He did lead the NFL last year in completion percentage. Let's recognize that.
So did Sam Bradford way back when.
I was going to say that if the Vikings didn't give him an extension, I thought that would be a great spot for Dak, but they kind of already ruined that.
Well, and Stephon Diggs is gone now. It's going to be a different team this year for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think Dak's one of those quarterbacks, though, that needs like a big wide receiver. I think that's the problem with the Cowboys, is I think Dak's a very good, like, West Coast quarterback. I know he could throw it pretty deep, but, you get him some slants, roll him out of the pocket, do drags across the field. Like,
agree.
You don't necessarily need Cooper for that shit.
I don't know why they paid Cooper so early. I don't. I mean, I know he changed the dynamic of that offense, but I mean, Jerry's one of those guys who has a reputation of being a deal guy. He just gets deals done, even when you feel like you have no chance. He gets the deal done, and I don't understand why Amari Cooper went before Dak. I don't get that. I know he was up first, I guess, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
And the thing that kind of bothered me about that contract too is it made me feel like Jerry's thought in his head, like, oh, I gave a first round pick for this guy. I got to pay him a good amount of money. Like, so I can't be stupid. Like, this guy has to be a franchise player.
Right.
So I understand, like, he definitely made a big difference, but I believe after that he became like the second highest paid wide receiver in the league. And just my opinion, I don't believe he's that. So, there's things like that I think they're going to have to iron out before they're good, because that seems to be a problem with the Cowboys, is they just want all this star power but don't necessarily think about the team.
And then they went and spent a first-round pick on another wide receiver. So it was like, more weapons, I guess. But
they could have maybe signed Cooper last year for a little bit less, and if he didn't want it, then trade him away for maybe like a third-round pick, and then you got CeeDee Lamb right in the first.
See, but they couldn't have predicted they got CeeDee Lamb. Nobody thought he was going to slide to 17.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
but
fair.
It was also
they got lucky. And what else at that point? What else do you expect them to do? They have to take him. They can't let him slide. Because the Vikings had the next pick. So
that's true.
So now what I see for the Cowboys is what they've done is they've built a team to where if Dak leaves, they can get a mid-level quarterback like Kirk Cousins and succeed and go 11-5. Maybe not with Mike McCarthy, but with a decent coach, I think they could get a mid-level quarterback, and with that good offense, they can succeed.
Don't sleep on McCarthy, bro.
With Dak as quarterback, they're a good 9-7 team, and with Dak not at quarterback, they're a good 8-8 team.
What a difference maker. Listen, don't sleep on McCarthy. I'm not saying he's good. He's just not blatantly horrible like Jason Garrett.
No.
Kinda,
I'm telling you,
kinda is.
this team was succeeding in spite of Jason Garrett for years. They're going to get a coach who, at bare minimum, is average. That's going to make a huge difference on that team. I'm telling you right now. Watch out for the Cowboys this year.
Bro, the Packers' first year without Mike McCarthy, their team wasn't even that much better, and they still went 14-2.
They were the most fake good team of all time.
I mean, 12-4. My bad.
You saw what happened to them in the playoffs. They were fake good. They had the lowest margin of victory out of any team in the playoffs, and when push came to shove, they were exposed. And I love the Packers. I love Aaron Rodgers. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but
No,
it just is what it is.
Bro, the Niners just run on the Packers in the playoffs. It's too much.
They do. I don't know why, but I'll take it.
Fuck you.
I would have rather lost to the Packers than lose in the Super Bowl the way we did, but that's another conversation.
I would just like to see Aaron Rodgers in one more Super Bowl. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, he deserves it.
And that would have been fire. Mahomes versus Rodgers.
It would have been tough.
We'll see. They made some interesting picks this year, taking Jordan Love.
Jesus. Why him?
I mean, he's not bad. He's good. It's just like I don't know why they did it.
Is he worth it?
Rodgers has another 3 years. I mean, let him play. Get him a receiver. Let him play.
Bro, they traded up to get him. Trade up for him.
If you're gonna trade up and go. Well, you know what? I have no idea. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. I have seen absolutely no Jordan Love tape, so I'm not gonna sit here and disrespect him. He could be very good.
No, he's decent, bro. He was at Utah State doing his thing with some shitty ass receivers because it's Utah State. I mean, no disrespect. They're obviously good if they're playing Division I college football, but I just mean like in comparison to everybody else. Yeah. They're not very good. So, but, I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens. All right. Let's go ahead and just like switch gears to a different sport because I have been getting into a sport recently because of Young E. I won't act like I've been actively getting into hockey, but I've been slowly getting into it. And I think it's perfect timing. As soon as I'm getting into it, a new team is being created. NHL is going to have an expansion team by the name of the Seattle Kraken. I want to get your guys' opinion on that team, like their colors, what you think of the logo. I really think I'm going to be a fan. I think the name goes hard. I know some people are complaining because it's not very Seattle. I don't give a fuck. That shit goes hard. Sometimes you just got to go with what sounds hard. What's going to sell merch? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is business.
Fact.
So what do you guys think of the Seattle Kraken?
I love it so much, and I actually also want to get into hockey, and I think I'm going to use the Seattle team as my basis to jump in. I'm going to jump on the bandwagon. I'm going to be a Seattle Kraken fan, and I want to get into it. I've heard so many good things about hockey. I know there's diehard fans. The playoffs are always fun, even if you're not watching them directly, just the atmosphere. So I'm excited to get into hockey. I'm excited for Seattle. Seattle is clearly one of the best sports cities in America. I feel really bad for them that they lost the Supersonics, but then they tried to take the Kings, so it's also like, fuck them at the same time. You can have a team, you just can't have our team. That's just the way it's going to be. But anyway, I'm excited for Seattle. I'm excited for this team. I think it's great. I think hockey deserves more love, and I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but Seattle Kraken was actually one of the original 6 teams in the NHL. And then they disbanded the franchise, I think, in 1950 or something like that. But they were one of the original teams in the 30s. So I thought it was cool that they brought back the name. I love the logo. I love the colors.
Yeah.
You're not going to get me from the Coyotes, but I do love the team. What I'm most interested about is the expansion draft. We saw the Golden Knights go and win a Stanley Cup the year after they had the expansion draft. And, we've seen that in other sports too. We've definitely seen that in other sports. I know the Ravens won a Super Bowl a couple years after coming in, after their expansion draft. I know, and these are just my teams, but I know the Diamondbacks won a couple years after coming in, won a championship. So I think there's a trend, so I'll be interested to see what they do in the draft and how it develops over the couple years, but I'm excited to see them, and I really like what they're doing up there. And I definitely think Seattle deserves more sports teams and more sports love.
Do you think? Wait, do you know how the draft works?
I don't know the specifics of it. I know they can. So I read a little bit about it. I know they get to choose a player from each team, or a draft pick, I believe, and then they get like 3 or 4 first-round picks. But I think the player they have to choose has to be like over the age of 25. It's something like that. So it can't be a prospect. Got to be in the league for at least like 4 years, and then not have any more than like 3 years on their contract.
Do the teams get to reserve players as well?
Yeah. Teams get, I think it's 2 or 3 players that are like, you can't take them. It's 2 or 3.
And the NBA, Phil, isn't it 8?
They haven't done an expansion draft in ages, but the last one they did, I believe, was 8. But it's an inverse relationship. The more teams you have, the less protections you usually get, if that makes sense. So like if we're getting into 34s or 36s in the future, it's probably going to be 7 teams or 7 players per team protected.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, expansion drafts are huge, like Ethan said. I remember after the Bad Boy Pistons won, directly after that, there was an expansion draft, and they lost one of their key players. I think it was Sally that they lost, John Sally. I could be saying that. It might have been someone else, but they lost a very important piece of their team to an expansion draft, and it's obviously a good springboard for a new team. So we'll see what happens with the Kraken.
Yeah, I could see that hurting, teams that rely on depth.
Yeah.
And I know that I've talked with Young E about this, that hockey's very dependent on depth.
Yeah.
So I could see how, like, if you had
very dependent.
the choice to, pick from not necessarily the best players, but, good, solid players from each team, like, you could set up a very good team in hockey. So that'll be interesting to see. So they're like, you're pretty sure it's going to be the same rules as the last one?
No, they announced the rules. That was like the ones I was saying was the rules for this draft. They announced them.
Okay.
I just read them briefly. I didn't read them in depth really to figure out what was going on. It was more of like an article about who the Coyotes could lose in it. I recently started paying for the Athletic, so I've been reading a lot of stories on there every day. So yeah, I kind of read that on there and read a little bit about that, but
doing his research. That's what I'm talking about.
Hell yeah. The Cornell notes.
Hey, pass me the login, bro.
It's good. All right. Let's go ahead and do a little pivot to another sport, and that's the MLB. They started some games with no fans, and I'm gonna be honest, I haven't watched any of the games, so I can't really comment on the play. But I did see one thing that did intrigue me and kind of freaked me out the first time I seen it. I think the first time I did see it was in soccer games, and that's with cutout fans in the stands. And I don't know, like, it's cool, I guess, like, if you're not really paying attention. But if you're just looking at these random people frozen in time, staring back into your soul, like, I don't know, I think that would distract me a lot if I was a player. Do you guys have any opinions on those like what they have as fans, or do you prefer what they were doing with the NBA with like on the screen?
I mean, I'm not a fan of putting fake fans in there at all. Like, we don't have to pretend that there's fans there. Like, we're all adults watching this. Like, we know what's going on.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Like, the NBA one is really bad for me because if you've seen any of the scrimmages so far, they have on the sideline two big TV screens that alternate between ads and between videos. And when they have videos, they'll have these videos of real crowds from past games to make it look like there's live fans there cheering. But the problem is the people will look like 20 feet big because it's a big old screen. So you'll just see these big old giant, like it literally looks like this.
Hell yeah. You can literally see dude's nose hairs.
And it's just not ideal. Like, we don't have to sit here and pretend like there's fans there. Like, it's okay. There's no fans. Just play the game. Maybe get a little up close camera angle, shake it up a little bit, and we'll be good to go.
I don't know.
I was so mad.
I like it.
I think I seen a Nuggets player miss a free throw, and then one of the things went yeet.
Yeah, yeah, they've been doing that.
No,
They started
I like it. I really do like it, bro.
the cutout fans or the video fans.
Nah, I don't like the video fans, but the cutout fans, it makes sense to me because I've been watching the soccer games, and I think in a stadium atmosphere, like I watched one soccer game where they didn't have the cutout fans, and it looked really weird to just see empty fucking stadium. So just having something there, it brings something, and there's no baseball that's not a stadium. Like basketball games are indoors right now. I think they could just have the ads on the side. It could look
Yeah.
like 2K. It'd be fine.
It surprised me actually with basketball the way it looks. I was really expecting it to look poor, but because they have media members there and because they have everybody socially distanced, it gives you the impression that there's more people there than there actually are, and it actually looks really. So obviously basketball is much easier to do because the camera angle is just one side of what you're looking at, so it's easier to simulate that feel. But baseball, any stadium type sport like football, I'm imagining is going to be very bad when we get there. But we're just gonna have to adjust to it.
I liked with the NBA was them utilizing music. I like to cover up the lack of fan noise. I would like to see them maybe step it up a little bit. I would like to see LeBron walking the ball up to court to some DMX or something, bro. Like, step up the soundtracks. That shit would be fire.
Start blasting "We Paid."
Well, like for real, like I think it's gonna be fine. The only thing that's weird to me is I think they need to cut out like the fake fan chants. Like, don't act. Just stop acting like there's fans there. So I'm, kind of iffy with the MLB acting like there is fans there. With the cutouts. To me, it's a little creepy, but I can understand it also from just being a player's perspective. Some of them are going to feed off that. The thing is though, it's like you're having the fake screams, and that really, can you really replace that in your mind, thinking like, oh, those fake cutouts are making that noise? Like, is that going to get you hyped up any more than if it was no fan noise, no cutouts at all?
I mean, maybe you don't know. Another thing I want to point out with opening day is just how unorganized and poorly ran the MLB is. So they waited to announce the playoff expansion to 16 teams until today, which is interesting to me because it's always been 12. It's never been more than 12. But we're going to have some extra wild card teams. I'm not tripping because it's going to give the Diamondbacks more of a chance to make it in. But I do think it's just very funny how they waited until the last day, especially with all the bullshit that's been going on with the MLB and just how trash they've been in the media lately and just how they've been showing out about how poorly they're ran. I thought it was very funny. And then, another thing that stood out to me is it's opening day. Their first game is tomorrow, and the Toronto Blue Jays still have nowhere to play because Canada does not want them. They don't want the American baseball players traveling there because America cannot get its shit figured out in terms of coronavirus. It's such a shit show. I don't even know what the fuck's going on with the MLB. I'm excited for the season. I'm ready to watch the Diamondbacks tomorrow in their first game of the season. But I mean, what the fuck? Come on now.
Is the playoff expansion, was that something that they had maybe talked with the players and the players knew about, they just weren't ready to announce it, or was it something they just came out the cut with?
The players, they had come to the agreement on it. It just had not been ratified yet by the owners, and it got ratified today, but it did not break any news until today. As far as I know, it was not talked about at all until today, media-wise. It was just like opening day. Here you go. We're letting in 2 or 4 more teams into the playoffs.
Jesus.
And I don't think they've announced how the second game's going to go. If it's going to be a single game elimination in the wild card like it is normally, or if they're going to go to a 3-game series now, or what they're going to do with that. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I just think it's very MLB-esque to wait until opening day to announce shit like this, or be able to come to the agreement for shit like this.
Does this expansion change your World Series picks at all?
I'll get to that in the hot takes, but I mean, my World Series, it's hard to pick the World Series this year with what's going on because the 60-game season makes a big difference. And I think baseball, out of all sports, is really a day where anybody can come in and win a game on any given day, because you can have, the best pitcher in the world go out there and just have a shit day where he can't find his feel, and by the third inning it's 6-0, and if the rest of the guys are shut down, you're not coming back from that. So and that can happen to a team. Like, you could have the Yankees out there and just having a bad day, and they can be playing a team like the Marlins, who have averaged like 40 wins, 120 losses a year, absolute garbage. But you could have them come out and win a game against the Yankees every once in a while. So I don't know. The 60-game season will be interesting, but yeah, I'll get to my World Series picks a little bit later. I will say for the AL, because my team's not in the AL, but in the AL, I'm going with a little bit of a surprise pick. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Rays. I think they have a really well put together roster. They're very creative. And I think them playing in the same division with the Yankees gives them an upper hand going into the postseason, because if the Yankees can eliminate a team like the Astros, I think the Rays have it good when they play the Yankees.
You think the Astros are still going to do well?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I really don't know, because I think they're a very talented team. They have a lot of talented guys. Their starting pitching rotation is absolutely fucking disgusting. It's by far the best in the league. They have they have the most well-known metric system for their pitchers that's really been working well for them. So, I think they'll be good just based on that. They have a lot of experience in that pitching staff with Verlander and Greinke. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I think they'll probably be still in the contention for sure.
They're going to get a lot of free runs, I think, this year too, with people throwing balls at them and walking them. Because that already happened twice. I seen.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny. And they kind of deserve it.
A little bit. No, I mean, not in the face, but maybe in maybe in the glute or the back of the thigh. Abs. Yeah.
Just a little cheek tapper.
Don't hit him in the ribs or don't break any bones.
Kershaw's gonna be beaming him, bro.
Hey, Kershaw's out, bro. He started on the injured list today. They scratched him on opening day against the Giants. I haven't looked at the score, but last I looked, the Giants were winning 1-0. So interesting, but it's a lot different this year, because you go on that injured list and it's 15 days, and 15 days is 15 games, because there's only 6 off days in the whole season this year of the 60 days. So it's almost just play.
Damn. That's
time to be alive.
True that.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
All right, we got anything else topic-wise before we get to hot takes?
Just real quick about the NBA bubble. Obviously, they've started their scrimmages. I don't have much to analyze here. It was just really happy for me. Like, I caught myself. I was watching highlights of the games that happened, and man, dude, I swear to God, I almost shed a tear. Like, I had forgotten what it's like to one watch like live sports, but 2 to watch basketball and how big of a part basketball plays in my life. So I'm just really, really happy it's back. The bubble's been going very well for them. They've had 0 positive COVID cases inside their bubble. So I'm really happy to have it back. I hope it continues and can go through to completion. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see. I'm very interested to see what happens with the NBA. I really like what's going on. I think they figured out the bubble pretty well. And we got the season starting soon. Kings are falling apart a little bit, but I'll be there to cheer for the other teams. Honestly, if I'm pulling for any team, I'm pulling for the Heat. I like Jimmy Butler, and I think it would be a hell of a story.
They have a really, really good team.
It would be a hell of a story if they came out and fucking won, because I don't think anybody really expected them to be the 4 seed. If the NBA Finals could be the Thunder and the Heat, I would be over the top ecstatic. Just battle of the underdogs.
Listen,
Game
bro,
of the
this is what I love so much about the post Warriors NBA is that what you said is not impossible. It's not likely, but it's definitely not impossible. Like there is a world where that happens.
I
And
mean, I don't
who
know.
knows?
I don't know if I see anybody getting past the Lakers and Clippers. They're just too dominant.
I wouldn't even say that. I think they're both very vulnerable. I would not discount the Nuggets, the Bucks, Raptors,
What
Celtics.
about that Nuggets 6'10" lineup?
Oh, dude,
All
Bol was
5
nasty.
guys over 6'10".
Jokic looks like a different human being with how much weight he's lost.
Jokic
He
at
looks
the
so
one.
much different. He's skinny enough now, I'll tell you that much. He was running up and down the court like a
Isn't he
gazelle.
7 foot though?
Yeah.
He was running up and down the court like a gazelle. Are you for real right now? Because the last game I watched of Jokic, this boy could barely make it up and down the court, and it was like 8 minutes into the second quarter, bro.
Ethan, he lost like 40.
Good.
He lost 40 pounds, and that was before he got COVID. And then he got COVID and probably lost another 20 to 30.
All right, I'll have to be on the lookout. I mean, maybe he's got it like that. What about the Mavs?
The Mavs look pretty good. I actually watched the scrimmage they had against the Lakers.
Can I say one thing?
What?
The Kings are the only team that can piss me off during a scrimmage.
You and I both, brother. You and I both.
All right, go ahead with the Mavericks. I just had to get that off.
Oh, no. Just the Mavericks, it's going to be interesting because they're the 7 seed, but they're way too good to be a 7 seed. That's just the way the standings currently are. So they can definitely put a scare in the Clippers in the first round. You definitely need to watch out for them because Rick Carlisle has that offense just churning out full-fledged like 120-point games on the regular. So definitely a team to watch for. And the Boban is getting out of control. I'm not even kidding. He swished a 3 in the scrimmage that they played against the Lakers today.
Well, what about Bull?
Bull was ridiculous too. He had a great game. Like
Bro, I seen him shoot a 3-pointer that went higher than the Statue of Liberty, bro. And that shit came all the way down, and that shit was higher.
What's up with that? Because I've been seeing a lot of Twitter memes, but I have not looked at the highlights from that game.
So,
like, was he really going off? Like, did he really have like 20 points?
He had 16 points, 12 rebounds, like something like 6 assists and 3 blocks or 3 steals. I remember.
Gosh.
The 3-pointer that I'm talking about, he almost shot it from like half court. He just pulled up for no reason. He just
he's one of the few guys who's 7 foot. He's like legit 7'3", 7'4", but he does not have that like clumsiness that you expect from someone that tall. Like he moves fluidly and like a real basketball player. Because like you saw his dad Manute Bol, like he looked like the stilt guy from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, you know, just walking all awkwardly. You know, you never know if they like are gonna break their ankle every time they take a step. But Bol looks really fluid.
The stick guy from It's a Bug's Life.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Bol is exciting. I mean, he slipped in the draft to the second round. So if the Nuggets, if he ends up being a quality player for them, that's going to be scary on that team for sure.
With Jokic at the point.
Don't be hating on Jokic, bro. He's one of the best. He's one of the best passers in the league.
That they're gonna dominate.
That's lockdown. That's lockdown on defense on anybody except for LeBron.
Have Jamal Murray come off the bench and then Jokic.
Jamal Murray can play too, bro.
Imagine Chris Paul trying to guard Jokic.
Or Russ.
Yeah, or Russ. Oh man.
Yeah, I want to see that big lineup go against the small ball of the Rockets.
Yeah, same here. I want to see the two flashes. Did you see the Daryl Morey tweet?
Yeah, he has me so weak.
I was so dead.
I like that he can be himself.
Yeah, he's good. I like Daryl Morey. Free Hong Kong, by the way.
Free Hong Kong, let's go.
Yep.
We support democracy here.
We don't have Chinese sponsors, so we can say that with
Let's go.
Free Hong Kong and fuck America.
Wow, yeah, the double-edged sword. No cap. All right, so is it hot takes
All
time?
right. Yes, we are getting towards the last end of the show where we give the hottest of takes, and with a little bit of our touch of our hottest of cakes. Okay, so I'm gonna let Young E go first. What is your hot take? I know you've been dying to tell us about your World Series pick.
I got 2 hot takes this week.
Okay.
One's with the MLB, one's a little bit more off the wall. But for MLB, so this week I was reading an ESPN story. I also have ESPN Plus, so I read a lot of stories on there. And one of their experts in their World Series picks picked the Diamondbacks to win. And it was a thing of like 30 people, and like 28 of the other 30 people did not pick the Diamondbacks in the playoffs. But I do want to mention this was before the playoff expansions were announced. So we were only thinking 6 teams from each league. So the one thing that I have seen in every prediction and every projection so far this year is that the Diamondbacks might make the playoffs, but they cannot beat out the Dodgers in the NL West. So my hot take is that the Diamondbacks will beat the Dodgers in the NL West in a 60-game season. They will be 38-22, win the division by 1 game. The Dodgers and the Padres will make it into the playoffs as well and both be over 500. Everybody else in the division is ass. But I don't think they're going to make the World Series. My NL World Series pick right now is the Dodgers, and I hate to say it, fuck them, but they've been doing too good with the prospects, and see what they do, and they'll probably win again. And I fucking hate it, but once that salary cap goes in, though, we'll be in there.
Wait, who in the AL?
Who in the AL? I already told you the Rays.
Oh, that's right. So you think it'll be Dodgers and Rays then?
Yeah, and I think the Dodgers will probably win that game. But I wouldn't be if the Rays won. I'd be really hyped. Like I really fuck with the Rays. They got a nice young core. But who knows what could happen in a 60-game season with baseball? Like I said, who knows? It's such a toss-up.
I respect that. I like that. That's a cool little hot take. I hate the Dodgers, though. I really hope that doesn't come into fruition.
Yeah, dead ass.
All right, Young Philanthropist, what is your hot take for this?
I have this hot take is a hill that I am willing to die on, and I will debate, discuss, argue this with anybody who is willing. I didn't used to think this was a hot take, but it's been brought to my attention that it is in fact a hot take, and that is that Frank Gore is a first ballot Hall of Fame running back. I think he almost by his own success has become a meme, and people need to really recognize the success he has prolonged as a running back in the NFL. So I'm just going to go through some quick stats here. He's been playing since 2005, which at this point is 14 NFL seasons. He has 9,000-yard rushing seasons, 2 additional seasons where he had 960-plus yards. That level of prolonged success is ridiculous for a running back. Not to mention, he has a career average of 4.3 yards per carry. He's top 5 all-time in total rushing yards. And everywhere he's gone, he's been a stellar teammate. He's contributed to winning football at every stop in his career. And just overall, I think one of his most underrated aspects is his pass blocking. He really is a true 3-down running back in that he can rush, and he's there for you on passing downs as well, not just as a receiving threat, but as a blocker. And the Football Hall of Fame is tough because they're very, very strict with who gets in on first ballot. It's reserved for the highest of the high. Guys like Terrell Owens didn't even get in first ballot, and he's considered one of the greatest receivers of all time. No question.
Yeah.
So, it's a very rarefied air to get into the first ballot, but I truly think Frank Gore is a top 5 running back of all time, and I think he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So that's my hot take.
No, I can see that happening. I remember you mentioning this to me about 2 years ago, and I was like, no. And then last year you brought it up to me, and I was kind of like, I don't know, still no. But it's really hard to deny the fact that, he's breaking all of these records for career Whether it's yardage or even just touchdowns or just games played, fucking I don't even know like how many training camps he's been to has to be a record damn
Mhm.
near.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing it for a long time. So I want to ask you, because you brought that up, who's had a better career within their sport, Vince Carter or Frank Gore?
Oh, it's Frank Gore. It's easily Frank Gore. I mean, Vince Carter, he had a better prime, but he didn't have a longer prime. There were 2 or 3 years where Vince Carter was legitimately like kind of like a Kobe, LeBron level star in his sport.
Yeah.
That's
But he fell out of his prime quickly. He became a low-level all-star for a while, I'm talking like a fringe 10th guy all-star, and then eventually he just became a very good role player, and that was how he fulfilled the rest of his career. Frank Gore, for the almost 10 years he was on the 49ers, was the best player on the offense, at least, and he was putting in Pro Bowl,
oh, you're
All-Pro,
hating on Vernon
consistent level
Davis.
production. No, Vernon Davis, he was like a Vince Carter for us, man. He had 2 or 3 years after the Mike Singletary incident where he was a very top-end tight end, and then
Hating
after
on
that,
Crabtree.
oh,
Okay,
now you
chill,
need to stop
chill,
it. Yeah,
Hating
chill.
you
on
need to
Alex
stop.
Smith.
No,
I'm not here for no
hating on
Alex Smith
Kaepernick.
slander.
Hating on Kaepernick. Kaepernick was the best
Yeah,
player on the team.
you are hating on
Yeah.
Kaepernick too. Kaepernick was really good.
Yes, but there's also the
Oh, that's
forgotten
fact.
49ers years where no one talks about, like the Mike Nolan years, the Mike Singletary years, the years where Trent Dilfer was starting for us because Alex Smith got benched for
Hey,
one reason or
Trent
another.
Dilfer won a Super Bowl. I don't want to hear
Yeah,
it.
yeah, he did, but he
Super
wasn't
Bowl
good on the
winner.
Niners.
No, he wasn't
Like
good in this Super Bowl either.
Frank Gore's second year in the league, he had 1,700 rushing yards, 485 receiving yards, 9 total touchdowns, and 5.4 yards per carry. And then he followed that up with 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. He got hurt the next year, and then he had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. So we're talking about injury-free career for the most part, consistent production above 1,000 yards rushing, around 1,500 scrimmage yards. I just think there are very few running backs that have done that, especially in the passing era. I think that puts him in almost like the Emmitt Smith tier of running backs, where you talk about consistent high-level production. He's obviously not there, but I think Hall of Fame is more than just about star power. I think it really is about playing the game the right way. And I think the guys at the Football Hall of Fame, I think they recognize that, and they're very strict about that. And I think Frank Gore is going to be and should be recognized as one of those top talents.
I agree. I really do. I hope he doesn't go along the lines of someone like, it doesn't get talked a lot about because the Dolphins are trash, but I don't know if you guys remember in the middle linebacker, Zach Thomas. He has, in some areas, better stats than Brian Urlacher, and others very similar stats. And yet, Brian Urlacher was a first ballot, and now Zach Thomas has been like 4 years in a row he hasn't got in.
Man.
So, but the thing is, what has Frank Gore, his benefit is he was, a really big name for a while and has continued to be. And I think the memes will keep him relevant for a while. So hopefully that'll help him out with his Hall of Fame bid. And then also, right, he did play in a Super Bowl, so that helps him out too.
He did, yeah. He played well too.
But I still can't forget Vernon Davis, Alex Smith in that playoff game against this Saints.
That's the best play of any of my sports teams in my lifetime. It's probably one of the best sports plays I've ever seen, to be honest with you. It was such an emotional moment. Like, that's one of my most cherished moments as a sports fan and especially as a 49ers fan. Don't get me wrong. What a game from Alex Smith, too. Are you kidding me? The rushing touchdown he had before that?
Oh, it was insane. I think I was watching that game with you, and I think you were tripping. I can't remember exactly, but I remember that play really getting you hyped up.
Dude, it was ridiculous. It was special. And then followed up with the 2 muffed punts game from Kyle Williams to lose our chance at the Super Bowl.
Go.
Dude, those Harbaugh teams, this is the last thing I'll say, but those Harbaugh teams, the ones that went 3 years in a row to the NFC Championship game, 1 year to the Super Bowl, we really were 5 plays or less away from being 3-time repeating Super Bowl champions. It really was razor thin. It's very rare for me to see a team come that close to winning it all 3 years in a row, almost like the Buffalo Bills in the 90s or the Saints nowadays, Really sad to see, but also super fun to watch. So take it with a grain of salt.
And I think it was unfortunate, too, that they had to with the Legion of Boom not only being in the same division but being in the same conference, it was one of those rare years. During that time frame where probably the two best teams were in one conference.
Yeah.
Like the NFC Championship was, damn near the Super Bowl because the Seahawks, they went and just killed the Broncos right after that. So
that was not fun to watch.
All right, so that's gonna lead me into our hot take, my last hot take, and then we'll be good. We're hitting on an hour here. My hot take is gonna go with the MLB, and I think this is gonna be, because of the shortened season, the year that we see one individual player take over, and I'm ready to see it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready to see Mike Trout light the league on fire like he already does, but do it in a way to where maybe with the expanded playoffs he can do something special in some big games. I'm not saying, take him to the World Series or anything, but he's going to step up and he's going to put the team on his back. And he's going to do some amazing things just because he knows, this might be his one chance to really show it. And where if he has a couple good games, a lot of good games in a row that are really good, it can really make a big difference in their season. Just a little hot take for you, just a little something, a little sizzler.
Yeah, I think there's a chance for that happening. I got a guy on the Diamondbacks I like, though, that's coming up. Third in MVP last year, finished the season hot, got hurt. So we'll see. We'll see. Taking over the league.
Listen, man. Be so biased, shit, bro.
What if we gave Mike Trout some juice, bro? What if we just gave him a little roids? No one has to know. We could all close our eyes. Just give him a little test, a little HGH. How good would he be then?
Bring it back for this season. We got a shortened season. We need to bring some of the fans that you lost during all this negotiation shit. Juice them back up. I want to see at least 5 home runs a game. And then the players that don't be hitting home runs, they can maybe get one every other game, but then they're going to be stealing bases like at least 3 times a game. I'm trying to see diving catches. I want to see them literally jumping the home run wall clean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking 10 to 15-foot walls, jumping completely over them, stealing home runs. I want to see superhuman stuff done in baseball. I think that would bring it right back.
Let's just look at it this way, man. There's 2 types of cheating. There's the Astros cheating, and then there's the steroid era. Like, which one did you like better? Which one was more entertaining? For me, it was the steroid era, man. They were just smacking balls. Pause.
Yeah, how would you rather have it, right? An advantage where what's coming, or, just everybody's so physically fucking strong that you don't even know what's coming, right? Like, if you had a pitcher like Clayton Kershaw, I don't even know how roids would help a pitcher, but I'm sure it could do a little something. But if you have him and the batter doesn't know the pitch, it doesn't matter how much that batter's juiced up, he's still got to hit the ball against a juiced up Clayton Kershaw. So I would prefer that over, let me see what the next pitch is, coach. All right, cool.
Didn't Barry Bonds hit like 70 home runs one year?
Yeah. It was almost one in every other game.
Oh, man.
You got to watch the McGuire-Sosa 30 for 30.
On ESPN. Yeah, it's really good.
Is it really on Netflix or Disney Plus?
No, it's on ESPN Plus.
Or, ESPN Plus, sorry. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, McGuire hit 71, right? And then Sosa hit like 66.
Jesus.
I think so. Something like that.
Dingers.
They were just hitting yams. And the thing with Sosa too is didn't he have a slow start to the season? So he went like on the stretch.
Yeah.
That was just unreal.
It was like in July. In July, he hit 30-something home runs or something like that.
That was one of my earliest memories, man, was every time I'd watch a Giants game, and Barry Bonds would be at the bat, and then they'd pan to the crowd, and then if the pitcher was, intentionally walking him, everybody had the chickens, little fake rubber chickens. That's all I remember from being a kid watching baseball games was the rubber chickens.
They should just eliminate intentional walks. Just fucking pitch the ball, bitch. See what you got.
Yeah, you can't have intentional walks, but then also disallow bat flipping. You gotta be one or the other.
All right. That is our show for today. Thank you for listening, everybody. This is episode 4 It has been another incredible journey to get to this point, and we are now going to be doing 2 shows a week. We're going to be releasing them on Fridays and Mondays. We are filming these on Thursday night and Sunday night, so that's the news you'll be getting. You won't be getting updated ones from Monday morning, so you can fuck off. You guys got any last closing remarks?
Nope. Looking forward to Sunday.
Yep. Same here. Thanks everybody for watching.
Definitely.
Hell yeah. All right. Thank you for watching and listening to the Couch Sports Talk Podcast. Have a good one, guys.